Yes. There we go, Michael. I want to start out just with a couple things. Has anyone not received at least an info booklet? I want to make sure that if you haven't gotten one, it's really important that you do get these just to look at. Anybody else? There we go.
Thank you.
This is the troublemaker section right back there.
That's right. Yeah.
There we go. I see it. Anybody else? Anybody did not get a wristband that would like one?
Oh, I should have been wearing my.
It's a good reminder to pray. If you want one, you did. Does anybody get one? Okay. Well, thank you guys for coming tonight. I know the last thing you wanted to do in this weather is come back out, but we should be used to it by now. And so, before we officially start and just open up for questions, I want to make sure that we're on the same page of what our goal is tonight. And as we talked about this whole thing and how to communicate it, we wanted to make sure that we offered these opportunities. And so I'm just going to give you 4 goals tonight as we see it. So hopefully that will help shape some of the questions and the spirit in the room. First of all, our goal is for you as part of our church to gain clarity on the why and the what. Okay, why we're doing this, what we are doing. As you can imagine, the what is always a moving target. We know some. We don't know everything, and so some of the questions tonight, we're going to say we don't know. We have some representatives here tonight from our building team who are part of Church Emmanuel. I'll share with that in just a second, but so that's one of the goals, is just to help you gain clarity if you don't have that yet with the why and the what. A second goal, obviously, is to ask your questions, okay, and try to get answers as much as we can. The third thing is we really just want to be transparent. We want to be transparent throughout this whole process. As I told the group last week at the Q&A session, our goal and my heart is to be as transparent as possible from beginning to end. And so we will continue to, if we feel like we need another one of these 3 months from now or 4 months from now, we will do that. We will be as transparent as possible. And everything that we know, we're going to try to communicate as best as we can to you guys. Okay? So hold us accountable to that as much as possible. And then finally, and it's a really big one for me, is we hope tonight, our prayer tonight really is that we will continue to grow in our unity. And the unity that comes from clarity, and the unity that comes from Jesus Christ. And so I know in settings like this, I'm not naive. I've been in ministry for 30-some years. When you have an open forum like this, there can always be issues. And so I've been praying over this space and this meeting for weeks. And Satan would want to distract us from what he's called us to do. And so our prayer tonight and the goal is that this would actually unify us even more because of the clarity we have, so that we can hear the heart. And so I'm going to encourage you with that spirit tonight as well. The format tonight, again, if there were 2 people here, it probably wouldn't be as formal, but because there's so many people and you might have a million questions, if you have a question, raise your hand. I'll try to address it. We'll have some people here that will help me if I don't get someone. If I'm ignoring you, it's not because I'm intentional. It's just because I'm not seeing you or whatever. So if you're not getting your question asked, like, do something so I can see you, jump up and down or whatever. And then if you wouldn't mind standing up and then introducing yourself, just use your first name. And the reason I want you to introduce yourself, number one, is because we want to get to know each other. And so I'm sure everyone in here doesn't know everyone else, so that's an easy way to get to know each other. And so just stand up when I ask you, and then introduce yourself, and then you can ask your question. The third thing is, if you didn't get your question answered, so Ed asked a question and we answer it, and you're like, that really didn't answer the question, please tell us. Because again, the goal is to help you answer your questions. And so don't just like, okay, yeah, sure, and then go home and say, they didn't really answer my question. So you are permitted to say, and I'll try to ask, did that answer your question? That's not an insult. That is, I want to make sure your question was answered. You might not like the answer. I'm not really asking that as much. I'm asking if we answered your question, okay? And then the final thing, and this is important too as well, one question per person per time. Meaning, I don't want someone to dominate all the questions. And so if Ed has, and I'm just looking at Ed, picking at Ed, if he has 100 questions tonight, we wouldn't get through all of his, and then no one would be having theirs. And so we're going to ask, like Ed will ask a question, then we'll go to someone else, then back to Ed, and someone else, back to Ed, or whatever. And some of your questions will probably be asked by someone else as well. So just keep that in mind as well. But you'll have one question at a time. We'll come back to you if you have more questions, but we want to try to give as many people as possible to do that. I think that is it. And so I'm going to pray for us, just that the Holy Spirit would really invade this space, and that he would use this as a unifying thing for us as a church. Let's pray. God, I pray for this evening. I pray for all of our hearts. God, I pray that tonight would unify us, would bring clarity, would be a time of discovery for the why and the what. God, I pray that we would be able to have a healthy dialogue. God, I pray that we would not get distracted tonight from the main focus of this. God, I also pray for grace, that grace would rule in this room tonight, and that maybe we don't have answers to everything. God, I pray that there would be grace. But God, I pray that tonight, that as we leave here, that we are excited, not about a building, but we are excited about what you're doing here and the opportunities that you've given us as a church. And so, God, may your Spirit reign here today, and may it be a spirit of clarity and unity, and a spirit of your power through this local church body. And so we pray all of this in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, I'm going to open up, raise some hands, and let's start asking some questions.
Just as a heads up, I do want to make sure that everyone in here knows, you see the microphone, you see the camera, this is being recorded. It's not being live streamed, but it is being recorded. You don't have to go up to the microphone. It'll pick you up wherever you are in the room. But before we start, I just want to make sure that everyone knows.
Yes, thank you, Michael.
Is this to verify answers 2 years from now?
Yes.
You said.
Yes.
And who are you?
Okay, yep.
Thanks, Steve. David Sue from North Avalon. One thing I had a question with the expansion of the campus. How are you dealing with the expansion of the overall parking?
Yep, that's a good question. In the fly-through, the fly-through isn't as accurate as we had hoped it would be with the parking. It doesn't show you the additional parking. The final draft of the concept design, again, we're not at the blueprint stage right now, so this is just a concept design. Rendering isn't even the right word, right?
Schematic design.
Schematic design. But we're going the final one that we approved through the architect. We currently have 115 parking spots. The increase will take us to 140 parking spots, so 25 additional. Our leadership has been talking about, obviously, we have off-site parking as well that we continue to know and utilize. We're also in some other conversations with our neighbor, Foxville Auto, and even behind us, Green, to potentially use some more parking. One of the things as we went through this whole process, the tough issue was we knew we were landlocked. And so we couldn't increase our parking twice and still increase our facilities to what we needed. So there was some give and take with the space we have. We knew that we couldn't do everything we want. But if you think about it, increasing our parking 25 spots, that's 60 to 70 people potentially per service that you would be able to do. Obviously, there is going to be a code as well, and that we would need to make sure that we follow as well. So you won't see it on this. You'll see it more on the schematics that's in the info guide. But there is parking actually back of our white parsonage here. Probably a third of the back yard of that where Michael and his family live will be used for parking. The lines actually, and we'll do them parallel instead of slanted, and we'll get some spaces there. So there's a lot of different areas where we're going to gain some parking spaces as well. That was actually almost 2 years ago, the elders, that was our first pain point, was parking. And so we've been talking about parking for 2+ years. So, great question. Did I answer it?
Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, we'll go home, thank you. Thanks you guys for coming out, grab some cookies on the way home. Yes, Jeanette?
Jeanette.
Oh, look.
Why is there only a 3-year commitment, and was the loan gonna be longer than that, or was we gonna have another commitment?
Very good question, very good question. Let me just start with typical church campaigns. And there are companies out there, and we hired a company to consult with us to make sure that we were doing things smart and wise with the strategy of a capital campaign. Typically, 3 years is a very typical for our size of a project. If it's a very small project, you might go a year or 2 years. One of the reasons you don't go more than 3 years is because you start to see give off. So for example, as you can imagine, year 1, you start seeing stuff happen, and you get excited because we give, let's be honest, we give toward things that we can see a lot of times. And so if I was promising a building 15 years from now, but we have to, give it now, that's a harder ask. And so after 3 years, there is this like decline that is as shown. And so the 3 years is a pretty, I would say, industry standard of what is sustainable for churches. I have heard of churches doing back-to-back campaigns. We do not plan to do that. I don't think that is good for our church where we are right now, but I have heard of that. But typically the standard is usually 2 to 3 years. Our size of project, usually it's about, it's typically 3 years. And then, did that answer that question?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Then
It's a good- very good question.
The loan, though, like, are we getting a loan? And
Yes, so I won't count that as a second question. Because you sort of dropped that in at the end there. So I'll give you the grace there, Jeanette. Great question. So the elders had agreed that if, as we mentioned in the info booklet, if we wanted to make sure, and you need to hear our heart in this, is we didn't want to put a cap on what God could do in our body and in our hearts of this church. And so we felt like here's a number that we're going to end up with. And we really believe that God could move in our people to do that. We serve a big God. But we also are practical, saying that may not be the way God provides for us. And so, but we didn't want to put a cap. We didn't want to say, okay, X amount, this is how much we're trying to raise, and we know there's going to be a gap. And so as the elders talked, we said maybe God isn't going to get us all of that through the capital campaign. And so we all agreed as an eldership that at the end of those 3 years, if the gap is there, then we would the gap there would be in a loan. Now, part of that conversation is we would need a construction loan. We would need a loan at the beginning anyway, because unless someone wants to write us a check for $7.5 million, which I'm okay with, but we know that, and there's going to be some, and some of you in this room, you might say, hey, I want to give a one-time gift at the very beginning. And that will be helpful. And so, but we understand that even that will have some more one-time gifts up front, but not enough to pay for the project. And so we're going to need to take out a loan anyway. And the elders have decided we really are excited to work with Orchard Alliance. And that is the financial arm of our denomination, Christian and Missionary Alliance. And you need to know 3 things about them that hopefully will help you understand the process. The one thing that we really like is our current loan, which we do have a loan already, is with the Alliance, is with the Orchard Alliance. And so that loan will get rolled over into this new loan. And our hope is that through the capital campaign and some other things that would actually enable us to pay off that loan quicker. Because we still have how many years? I always forget, 20-some years on that loan still. 20, what is it?
2040.
Yeah. So and so that gives us something. There's already some relationship there. We've had multiple conversations with the executive director. He was here actually in December, met with a couple of us. And so we know the process of getting a loan with him is 5 to 6 weeks from start to end. They do an assessment of our finances, and so they really set you up to say, here's what you can afford mortgage-wise. The second really advantage of Orchard Alliance is because they are a Christian denomination financial arm. They take into account our capital campaign. So what they do is they give us a loan, they structure it for the first 3 years in a way that you're hopefully receiving income on a regular basis through that capital campaign, and you're really paying off of that. And then at the end of the 3 years, whatever that gap is, then they restructure the loan based on that. So it really is our advantage. A normal bank might consider you're going through a 3-year fundraiser, but not in the same way as a church organization would consider that. So at the end of those 3 years, if there's a gap, they will restructure it in our favor, obviously, to be able to do that. The third thing that I really love about Orchard Alliance is all the money that we pay back to them goes directly back for them to finance other churches. So this isn't a bank getting richer. Not that that's a bad thing, but this is going directly. So when we pay back this loan, interest and loan principal, it all goes back to help Orchard Alliance do this and help other churches in the United States. And so, again, I'm not trying to justify it, but in many ways, it really is an investment. You're investing in other kingdom work throughout the country with that. And so that's our plan. The other part of that with the Orchard Alliance is just realizing that at our growth rate, we will have new people come in during those 3 years. And so our goal is when someone comes in new, we're going to ask them to be a part of this, And so, a year from now, there's people still going to start hearing about this and start giving. So even that initial commitment that we have consistently right now, whatever that number is, that hopefully will grow as we continue to grow as a church, that people, as they come into our church, will be a part of that as well. So, did that answer? Okay, good.
Our time fixed, 2048.
2048, so a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Still. Yes, Lee.
My name's Lee, and relative to my manual experience, I'm a rookie. But you just need to look at me and you say, man, I'm old. The good news is that if you're old, you're supposed to gain wisdom, right? So hopefully I'll have a decent question or two. And I've been involved in expansions in the past because I've lived in a number of different places in the United States. And I have to say, this is the best initial presentation I've ever seen. Someone's put in a lot of work already. Of course, I'm not a member yet. I was about to Springport with the pastor, and that's when I heard about the 2 initiatives. And I said, 7.5 million. Wait a minute, what is that? And then I started to learn a little bit more about the 2 initiatives. And obviously, the first initiative, I would call a no-brainer. I mean, that's something you have to do. We don't need to discuss it a heck of a lot. And obviously, you've worked with some contractors and other kinds of advisors who have mapped it out pretty nicely, pictorially as well. I think that was very helpful. The next part, this isn't the second question now. This is the next part of my...
Okay. Just to clarify.
The next thing is on the planting. Well, for any of us who've been involved in churches for a number of years, like I have, you probably experienced something to do with plantings. A lot of plantings are overseas, obviously. They may be quite a bit different than what we see here. But that's pretty complex. And you just don't hire a consultant to say, okay, just go make this happen for us. It involves a lot of different kind of people with different kinds of expertise. There are a lot of unknowns, etc. So, the third part of my first question is, of that 7.5 million, what part of it is going to the first initiative?
That's great. great question. Luke has used this phrase, and so I'm not taking credit for it. As you look at both initiatives, and I think we know all this to be true, but it's worth reminding us, is equal initiatives. What's the rest of that?
Equal initiatives, but not equal cost.
There we go, thank you, yeah. And obviously that makes sense for most of us. Building a building and renovating a building, that, if you're in that world at all, or you've done it at your house, especially post-COVID, like 6 years ago, this might have cost maybe half or 2/3 of what it does now. So it's not cheap. So we're looking at it as these two initiatives, again, where we weren't necessarily thinking they were lining up the way at the same time. And I really, you just need to hear this. This was all God that brought these two timing together. And so we wanted to be faithful to that. But, so I would say, Luke, do you want to just talk about like where we're going to land financially with supporting the church plan, or do you want me to do that?
I can do that.
Okay.
So obviously, the lion's share of the 7.5 million is going to the building. The question of how much or where money is going for the church plant, it's startup costs, which include, first and last month's rent. We're going to rent a building, salary, and local outreach. Because what the church plant is a team from Emmanuel and Foxborough being sent to love on a community and share the gospel with people who are currently unchurched. That is the number one goal. So it's an evangelistic effort. And so it's light on its feet. We're not going to buy a building. That being said, it's not nothing. It's about
Not cheap.
3 years, $125,000 each year, rough estimate.
Yep.
So the idea is, and I hear you. We could say building. I think, what did he say? It was such a wise phrasing. Leaf. What did he say? He said slam dunk or no brainers. We could
I think
say
I said no brainer.
church plant, not a no brainer. But the idea.
You should start, that should be the name
Yeah.
of the church.
Yeah. So it is. It's its own different animal, but I want to emphasize that it's not just giving this amount of money, thinking about it like maybe a pie chart. It's giving people, it's giving support, it's giving prayer. And so it really is equal initiatives. The gospel will be spread here because we're welcoming more people in. We're expanding our building, more people will hear the gospel. The gospel will be spread through the church plant because we're sending a team of dedicated missionaries to go share it with people who haven't heard it.
And what most people in this room in our church are not seeing is, behind the scenes, there's been a lot of work on the church plan. And again, you won't know that because it's not a tangible thing that you're going to see. Again, we have that launch team already in place. They've been having small group meetings together. Luke and I, along with the elders, are working with some MOUs, agreements, for what that support looks like in 3 years. We're working on even Thursday night, we're finalizing a budget for that church plant. And so there's going to be a minimum amount that what we don't want to do is just say X amount of dollars goes to. We want to look in the budget of the first 3 years of the sustainability of this church, knowing that there's other outside income. There's 4 streams of income. Do you want to talk about, just quickly, I know time is, but quickly, 4 streams of income primarily coming, do you want me to say that? Okay. Is obviously our church is a big part of that. Our district is putting in some money to that. and a couple of different ways of doing that, and they've already started contributing to that, into that account. And then outside support that Luke and the team potentially will be, I said 3, I said 4, maybe just 3. Am I right? Am I missing?
For the outside income, yeah.
Yeah. So there's different streams of income coming in. So we're trying to, we have a minimum and a maximum that Church of Maine will provide for the church plant over that 3-year commitment. And so, but we've been working behind the scenes a lot with the process and strategy and how that works. And then really in September is when they really start getting on the ground and doing the hard work of really starting the church up. So, I don't think it's an accident that I'm here helping Luke. I planted a church in Chicago, and I tell people all the time that the best thing you learn from planting a church is what not to do. And so there's a lot of wisdom and mistakes that we made when we planted a church that we're gonna make sure that we're setting up the new church in a very healthy way. So, did that answer? If not, are you sure? Okay. Because if not, we can talk. Yeah.
My name's Skip. I'm from North Attleboro as well. So from what I just heard, I'll be generous and say $500,000 goes to planting a church, which means roughly $7 million to build the new building, which seems like a ton of money. Have you gotten multiple estimates?
Yep. That's a good question. Good question. Yeah, I'll answer that.
Right. And I guess a follow on that would be, is the goal, I mean, you're going to get a construction loan, is that going to be for $7 million?
Yeah, the construction loan will be based on our goal, so 7.5 million, if that's.
All right. So the goal, if everything went spectacularly well, we could potentially retire the debt at the end of the 3 years.
Absolutely. Yep.
And not have to have it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yep.
But
That's what we're praying for.
Okay.
God may not work that way, but that's what we're praying for. Absolutely.
But there have been multiple people giving
Yes.
estimates.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you're, so I'll expand on that because I want to make sure this is really important. I wish I had more time to do it on a Sunday morning, I just don't. We have 5 people, part of a Church of Emmanuel, who are professionals in construction, have probably 100 years. I know last week too, it was 50-some years. And so we've already gotten all the quotes, the bids from 5 companies. Okay, so instead of me just talking, I'm going to let you talk just about where we are right now. Sure. So Doug Morrison over here, he's part of the building team, has 30...
Whoa. 52, right? Do the math. Yeah.
And then, before you talk, and then Kent Scott right over here, and Steve Randall, and I think those are the only 3. Bill Gallagher, if you know them. And then Steve and Kent are both elders as well. Mike Moulton over here, he's our facilities manager. He is sort of the staff representative on that team. So Doug, if you just give a recap of what we've done so far and even today.
So, at the initial outset of this, an architect was hired, and that's who came up with these beautiful plans here. In conjunction with that, a local contractor was hired to do some estimating of the job. And that's how kind of the initial design and concept got started. Fast forward now to 2 or 3 months ago, where the building committee got together and started looking at what we needed to make this a reality. And we asked for numbers and quotes and proposals from 5 different contractors in the area. So Massachusetts-based contractors with different experience, but everybody in the probably 15 to 30 range is a minimum for contractors, and who do this type of occupied renovation work with additions. So it's nothing new to any of these guys. We got proposals from five contractors, like I said. the last 2-3 weeks, we as a team have been working to vet these numbers and understand exactly what is going on with the numbers that are being proposed and whether or not that number makes sense. Now fast forward to this week, where in fact today we sat here for 5 hours, the three of us and 2 others, and interviewed the first 3 contractors. And of them, it was a very clear 1, 2, 3, which was great and fantastic guidance. We may debate the 1 and 2, but we know that 3 is out, right? So a good start, and Thursday we have 2 more interviews, and at that point we'll be able to get together and try to pick a horse. So I'll just talk through the process then, right? So with the assumption that we're going forward, we're gonna bring somebody on to do what's called pre-construction, and that is going to be working with the architect and the contractor to develop a set of plans that make sense, to figure out the things that we don't know right now. What's in the ground out there? What's in the ceiling up above the sanctuary? What are we gonna do? How are we gonna do this? And really work through, our goal as a team here is to really work through the logistics of it. That is the biggest question and concern of any of us, is how we get our children in and out of here safely over the next year. So that's what we're doing, and that's what we're going to charge a contractor to do. And the goal being that, by the end of the summer, we're ready to start construction and get going. Again, God willing, and sun don't shine, or whatever the saying is there, right? So anyway, that's the plan. That's where we are. And did I miss anything, Steve or Ken? No.
Is there gonna be a basement under the new addition, or is it
No.
just a slab?
Slab, yes.
It's a prefab.
Yeah,
Prefab is, there will be a basement to the connector building, but yeah.
okay.
And I just really want you guys to know this is, this team, I met with them before Christmas time, and I trust these guys. These guys know what they're doing, and it doesn't mean that they're the only ones who knows what they're doing, but they have a lot of experience. They know the right questions to ask. They know what the things, and they're going to represent us well.
Yeah.
So much so that I said, this is really the last time you guys need to meet in this kind of setting. And so they have been empowered to really, and they will communicate with us. But I'm excited. We have been blessed
Yeah.
to have this kind of experience and knowledge, because trust me, you don't want me having these conversations with people. So, good question.
Thank you.
Other questions? Yeah, Chad.
Hi, my name's Chad. My wife and I live over in Attleboro. The question that I have is, I know there's been a tremendous amount of thought and planning that's gone into this, and we're looking at obviously having to have a construction loan to move forward on this. I'm genuinely not asking for the number, but I'm assuming that there's kind of a point where it's a go, no go based on the commitments, because I'm assuming that the church would have to look at potentially being able to handle the loan if we had to take a loan. Is that, and so it's great if you can.
Very good question. Absolutely, it's a great question. What I didn't mention about Orchard Alliance, so thanks for bringing that up, Chad, is one of the things also, the other advantage of Orchard Alliance is they're about churches. So bank, our assets of our, we technically have 4 buildings and 3 properties, 2 parsonages, and then our office, which was the first building, church building, and then there was a parsonage as well, and then this building. A bank would see that, and they would have no problems giving us the loan of that amount because of our assets. And so a bank would also say, you know what, if you don't pay us, we'll take the property, and they could care less. I mean, that's just banks. It's not a bad thing, but it's just they're in it to make money. And so, but Orchard Alliance is going to be different. They don't want to take. They don't want to hey, we're going to take your property. And so, by the way, it's actually, just for those who aren't very familiar, our property, even though it's technically we own it, Church of Emmanuel owns it, it's actually assets for the district of New England with the CMA. And so so there's 2 checkpoints with that, with the Alliance. So the advantage is that the Alliance is gonna work with us. They're not gonna try to get us into a situation where we can't afford it. So the assessment beforehand, they're gonna say, if they were like, hey, you're committed this amount, and this is how much your monthly payment's gonna be, and we're looking at your budget, and we don't see it. And there's a 6-week process. The last process is at the national office. They have a board that meets, and they really, they ask the hard questions, and they make sure that we can sustain those mortgage payments. So there's a protection there. There's also protection on district level. The district actually has to approve of this loan as well. And so there might be an opportunity for the district to co-sign. They just did that for a church up in Vermont. But there's 2 checkpoints along the way that would not just allow us to get a loan that we can't pay back. That wouldn't happen through the Alliance, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I pretty much assumed that the leadership wouldn't put us in that kind of a position anyway.
No, yes, correct. Yep. I would say there's not a number, but if the commitment was incredibly low, that would be, we would press pause, yes. And I'm not gonna give a number because I don't know that number, but I think it'd be clear, one way or the other, yeah. It's a great question. Did that help?
Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then I'll come back. Did you have a question? You know what? She's my wife, but maybe I haven't communicated as well as I thought I did, and she has a question, so. I don't know, I saw something move, so.
She's doing hallelujah.
Yeah, maybe so, yeah.
All right.
I saw you, so.
My other question was with respect to the size of the new building, and really what is it for? It appears to me by looking at it that it's a big, huge lobby, and 3,800 square feet of lobby space, why do we need that big of an addition?
It's a very good question, and we've had this conversation, and several people have asked that before we announced it to the church. And so one of the things we've tried to do is not call it a lobby, because it's not just a lobby. It truly is a multi-purpose building. And so we're purposely making sure that all the furniture, everything is portable. And so think about this space down here, and if you're newer, you may not recognize, but a lot gets done down here. We run out of space a lot with certain things that we can do down here even. And so that space will be used, let's put it this way, it would be used as a lobby on Sunday mornings.
Right.
But that's about it, as a lobby.
So if somebody wanted to have after a funeral or a wedding,
yes,
that space would be available for
It's a
that.
multi-purpose, will be used for, you notice our whole building is multi-purpose, and that's intentional, because you get your best bang for your buck that way. It'd be foolish of us to have something permanent where we can only use it once a week or something like that. So that'll be used for classes, more than likely a temporary worship space
Meetings
during the
like this.
construction. Yep, dinners, events, any off-site things that come in, conferences, you name it.
Like even our volunteer appreciation, we've outgrown this space. We
Yeah.
can have it here.
Yep.
This room that we're sitting in right now is too big for the vast majority of things that happen in here, like Bible studies, small groups, whatever, like outside rentals. It's too big for most of the things that happen in here, and it's too small to hold our entire congregation. And so this new multipurpose facility, I think, solves that problem in a really creative way.
And I would encourage you, it's a great question. I would encourage you, if you're having conversation with people at our church, try not to call it a lobby. On Sunday mornings, we will use that phrase, but we're not building that building is not a lobby. It is a ministry space that will be used. And we're trying to come up with a creative name for it. So if you have any ideas, we've thought about gathering hub or gathering place or something, but we want to make sure that it is not, we're not spending that money on a lobby. It's the lobby. And it will certainly help on Sunday mornings as a lobby, but it will be multi-purpose.
Because that was another concern, is that we were losing this space.
Yes, absolutely.
And I've been to a number of functions down here, so.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it will be bigger space that we can use for what we do. Picture this room, and we're just it will be nicer and bigger.
Right.
Yeah. Good question. Yep.
Kevin Campbell, just thought of it as this conversation was going on. Right now, on Sunday mornings, this is used as an overflow. Do we have, this will be all chopped up into rooms, that space, the new space, is that gonna be used if the sanctuary is too full?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think we've had minimal, any leader in here want to jump in, please do so, seriously. Yeah, go ahead, thanks, Brooke.
We've talked about it a little bit. There are people that come down here on Sunday mornings for if they have small children that are kind of crying or talkative, that aren't going to Kids Min yet, they're too little, or they're just not going. We have a special needs family that comes down here, and then some people just choose to come down here. So we understand that it's something that is a little bit of a need. This isn't set in stone, but we've kind of talked about part of this room will be renovated to be kind of a youth space, but the youth don't meet on Sunday mornings, potentially could still be used. It would be a smaller section, but obviously the whole of downstairs isn't used on a Sunday morning, so potentially could still be used in the youth room, have it on the screen down here. We understand that that's a need and something that we're still kind of like figuring out how our solution can best be fit.
Yep, it's a great question. I will say the multi-purpose facility will be wired with monitors and stuff, so that could be either an overflow. So obviously, it's going to have a different feel. It's probably not going to be as intimate and quiet as like this would be, but there's potential for that. Certainly, if someone. But we are aware of that, as Brooke said, and trying to figure out where that would go, where that would make sense to send people to. Great question so far. Keep them coming.
Would it be useful to draw a comparison from when we put this addition on to what we're doing now? It was a big, scary project back then, but it's worked out very, very well.
Yep.
So, in terms of trying to...
Like financially or
Well, a little bit of both. It's like, back then, we had the same type of campaign. Everybody was concerned about, are we gonna fill up this space?
Yep. And I don't know, it'd be interesting to look back at some of that.
Yeah.
One of the things that you guys have heard and will continue to hear, that's the beauty of this church, that God has been faithful, and this isn't the first time our church has gone through major phases of like, we do this or not. And so God has been faithful, and so, as we walk and are faithful to Him, we are hoping that continues to happen. But it would be interesting, obviously the numbers, I don't know. What was that?
40 years ago, right?
Did we see that, what was that document with Art Warner? He did like what I would call a mini campaign. Does anybody remember that number? What we were trying to raise? And was that for this edition? Remember that document when that Art Warner did? You remember that? You know what I'm talking about?
I've seen the document.
Okay. It was like a capital campaign, but it was more. I can't remember. Okay, but we could probably find that.
It was
It'd be
pretty well
interesting.
documented. We've got a bunch of the stuff from that campaign floating around in our records. So.
I want to say, I think it was like 700,000 or something like that, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that might be too big.
Yeah, it was.
It might be too big than that.
In the hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
I think it was like 7.5 million, like.
Oh, there.
In today's stuff.
Good. And again, I do, just remind you is, we're not doing this cheaply, but we're doing it as the architect that worked with us. We got connected because Eric Matthews, you know him, one of our elders, has a good friend who works, he's a principal at the Annam Architects in Boston. He's an elder at his church. So he did some pro bono work in that, didn't charge us as much. But he also, because he's invested in God's kingdom, he really did it in a way that would be cost efficient. So just like, for example, the prefab building is as cost efficient as you're going to get with a new build. So on that, I just again, if I'm seeing, you got to shut me up by raising your hand, okay? So start raising your hand. But I will say we're spending about $1 million to bring this existing building up to code. So it's about $500,000 for the sprinkler systems. It's very, which again, that's not an exciting number, but if you think about it, again, that's a long-term investment. I would think that most of us would hope that we are in a space that has sprinklers. And so, we've been grandfathered on in with certain things, even the elevator. And so $1 million of that is just because once you touch an existing building, it now has to be up to code in every area. And so that's, again, part of all the bids that we've received. But just that alone is not cheap.
Right.
Yes, thank you, Deb.
I want to shut you up. I have a question about the services. After the renovations, do you think we'd be going back to 2 services? Because
It's a great question.
it takes a lot out of all the volunteers.
The staff and leadership talked about that. At this point, we don't want to commit one way or the other. Because again, we don't know where we'll be in a year with numbers and stuff like that. There's certainly reasons to think that if we expand and, multiply our sanctuary, then like right now, we would be able to go back to 2 services. But we don't know where a year from now is. Like I said 2 weeks ago in my sermon, at our growth rate right now, we would probably need to go to a 4th service in about 2 years. And so, we don't want to say, hey, we're going to build this building so we can go back to 2 services, and then a year and a half from now, we're like, oh, sorry, we're going to have to, we don't want to promise something. So all that is being discussed behind the scenes, but we just don't know where we'll be as far as our growth goes in a year and a half. So, but obviously, if we think we can do it and continue to grow with just 2 services, then we would do that, but we just can't answer that question. So I don't know if that answered your question or not, but probably as best as we can answer right now. Does that satisfy that?
Yes.
Okay.
Vanessa had a question. I have a question.
Yes, yep.
Do I have to stand up?
I'll let Jim talk.
Hi, I'm Vanessa. We're from Jim from Foxborough now. And this goes on to the security again. Is there money in this for security, for cameras, for all of that is really needed in today's day?
Somebody want to answer that on the building team, because I know that has at least... I could have said that.
That's the question I answered.
Can you expand because...
No.
This is why he's the chair of the building team.
We're not going to have to go through metal detectors.
No, but you do need cameras outside. You do need cameras inside. It's...
Yeah, I apologize if I came across as flippant. That wasn't the goal. I was trying to make a joke.
I know you were being funny.
The idea is that, yes, we are upgrading the security resources of the church. I can't sit here today and say there's 42 cameras planned for you, or for the facility. I can't answer that today. But it's obviously, or not, obviously is the wrong word. It is on our minds as making sure it's included.
Is there going to be a room, like, for people that will be monitoring those, like during the services?
We are discussing it.
Okay.
Go.
Good answer.
Is that a good non-answer?
It's a good answer.
She's already volunteering, so.
I'm already volunteering.
That's right. And we've had a lot of conversation lately because, as you can imagine, more space, bigger church. Unfortunately, in the world we live in, we have to think about all of that.
Right.
Mike Moulton, I'm going to put you on the spot. He's sort of started to take the lead in really moving the ball forward and growing and getting better in our security even now. And so, but knowing that a new building will be able to certainly add some things. And like I said on Sunday a couple weeks ago, the flow of how the children will come in and out, it will be more secure. And so we will elevate our security in the process. So, yeah, good question. Yep.
Greg Mansfield, can you comment on just disruption of building of Sounds like you've surely planned for it, but what would that look like?
Building team, anybody want to address that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, this man of many words over there.
Yeah.
I used to be friends with Doug, but you know, like, as you can,
Now, Ken Scott, each general contractor is putting together a logistics plan for their methodology and how they're phasing the project. And so we're scrutinizing that, we're looking at that, we're seeing where there are gaps that a contractor may have, we're recommending some things. So we'll have more definition about the phasing at the time we meet with that assigned, agreed-to contract. But a lot of our discussion today obviously was crunching numbers and seeing why they put the numbers in, where they put them in, all that stuff. But a lot of the conversation was, what's the effect on the church? What's the effect on you and I and your families and your children and the ministry? And how will we respond to living and walking, coming in and out during a construction site? And so we're helping define what that is: egress, ADA, entryways, certain areas of ministry that will, in all candor, might have to be shut down for a period of time and then re-engage so they can do the renovation work that's being done. So all that is being talked through relative to us, the phrasing from the upstairs to the downstairs to the new building. So that's part of us having a level of comfort that they've addressed the concerns that we see just in living in this environment throughout the week and, if you will, on Sunday morning. So when we shared with them that, 2 years ago we had like 400 people attending and now we're at 700, like, whoa, right? And they went, oh my gosh, we have to now, how do you come into this building when we're working in that part of the building? And what's the functionality of it? So all of those details are within the contract of each general contractor. Now, whether we agree with their logistics plan, and some of the plans we saw today, we're going, well, you know, that's not going to work. So we have that say into the contract with the contractor. And so our eyes are on that. And keeping in mind that there was a charrette or a design, programmatic design that came out of you as ministry leaders and ministry participants to the architect, and he took our thoughts and put it and expressed it in a conceptual design. Well, we may determine that in that conceptual design, once we get into design, schematic design and design development and mechanical stuff, that we may not be, our phasing might be a little different than we thought. We don't know that yet, but we will know that. And what will happen clearly that once we have about 90 days, what we call pre-construction, where we're helping and feeding information into their design team and their construction team for value, constructability, space design, all those types of things. So by the time we get through pre-con or pre-construction, they've already laid out with our insight and their insight, the feasibility of traffic patterns, parking, and the effect of the congregation. So all of that is part of that pre-construction discussion that the building team and the design team and the GC will vet it out, and to be sure. And then what will happen is, once that gets started, you will know what that is from a leadership perspective, a staff perspective, so that logistics plan will be presented to everybody in the congregation so that they know we're getting started, and this is the effect. And then as the construction begins, there'll be a 3 to 4 week look ahead of what's happening on the property, so we can adapt to what's happening on the property as well. And then lastly, sorry, there's a lot there, okay? Then lastly, each one of these general contractors has a very high safety rating. So we wouldn't even look at you if you didn't have a certain mod rate or safety rate. We wouldn't even look at you. So for us, it's safety and protection, and that you will all be aware of, and at any given time, you will all participate in somewhere down the road. Did that, Doug?
Yeah, the only thing I would add is that we're going to be surprised by things as we go. It's construction, it's not,
right.
I don't know, church ministry, something easy. So,
yes, it's not a coffee shop.
That's going back to you. So, it's going to require some adaptation, and, as we were sitting there today, there was some moments that came up. Like, I'll give you an example, that kitchen back there. Do we need to use it for 6 months? Does it not? I don't think it's been thought through, right? So when the stairs over here go away, how is Lynn Ministries getting to that kitchen and getting out? So anyway, it's this kind of stuff that.
Yeah, where the bathrooms are, how you do, yeah, all that stuff. Right. Right, yeah.
Flexibility is the key.
Yeah, it is.
And God will get us through it. I mean, the people of Israel wandered in the desert for 40 years. We can figure out a year. Yep.
I'm just thinking, have you planned in case there's disruption in the supply chain like it was 2 or 3 years ago? Where you couldn't get materials and, materials went sky high and you could get, has that been figured out?
I would say yes, we're definitely thinking about it, as the building industry changes and we go through COVID together and stuff evolves, learn the things that we stubbed our toes on 4 years ago or 5 years ago. And I think a lot of that has been figured out in the industry right now, very frankly. So things, just as an example, so if you look at your power that comes into your building, right? And it's coming through something called switchgear, which is a panel that, you have in your house, right? You flip the breakers on and off. At one point during COVID, that went to a 50 to 60 week lead time to order it today, and I'm gonna get it a year plus from now, right? That stuff is back down to 10 to 12 weeks like it was before COVID. So my point here is that the world has adapted. Yes, something could happen, what happened on Sunday night, right? We bombed Iran, that could affect something, right? But we don't have all the answers, but I think we have the thought process and the ability to think through it and react that I'm not concerned about it.
Yeah, we asked the question, what are the long lead items? What are the things that we could be exposed to? And right now, steel could be 16 weeks or 8, and switchgear and transformers, everything could be 16 weeks. There are no delays in there. That's pretty standard fare on some of the items. But we identify those, and the contractor will identify those as well at the proper time. So, yeah.
Yep, Jeff.
Has there been, understanding that obviously we're not building this whole thing with volunteer help, but has there been any thought given to opportunities where maybe the congregation can volunteer for some things that are maybe not critical to help offset some of the cost?
Oh, that's a lot.
No. There are safety reasons here and some other liability issues relative to their bond. Yeah, anyway, no, haven't had that discussion. Moving furniture and things that we know that we move naturally that are part of our everyday thing, obviously.
I was thinking more like that, or like painting or something along those lines, but
haven't really bridged that discussion yet. So, but I would say we leave it in the experts' hands to make sure they do it and do it right. But
And there might be like some, I'm speaking on behalf of the building team now, but there might be some times where we can pitch in from a work site on Friday to getting it ready for Sunday to worship and stuff like that, some cleaning and stuff like that. That might help with that. But I can tell you from personal experience, even if you have the skill level, it a lot of times does not work out real well when you use people within the church that have skills to do it. There's pros and cons of that, so you got to weigh all that out.
Sure.
I'm happy to address that. All the contractors have talked about relative to the phasing of the project, that what happens at Friday afternoon at noon. And that is they have to make this place tight in all the construction areas, clean, just like nothing happened relative to the areas where you're going to be occupying, so that...
Is it Steve Baker clean, though?
They do.
Because that's a whole nother issue.
That's part of
That's my wife. She left. I didn't say it's coming.
Transition to live use on a Sunday morning. By Friday, they had to have already addressed all that, so that's part of the discussion as well.
There will be opportunities in some ways to get involved as
just don't know what they are.
Yeah.
So,
No, and a fair answer is that it's not feasible. That's not,
Yeah.
it wasn't a challenge question.
Yep. No, it's a good question, though. Yep.
Tom Franklin, also probably going to show my ignorance. What's the useful life of a prefab building?
That's a good question. That's the first one tonight. As you can tell, I have a little bit of sarcasm in this.
It's already been a long day.
It's been a long day. We spent 5 hours with Ken Scott today.
Please.
I would say in the 80 to 100 year range, that would be my guess. If you Google it, maybe you find something else, but, I mean, there's certainly no long-term downside to it, that's for sure. It's, I would guess, being steel, it's got a longer lifespan than wood, but those are just some kind of quick thoughts.
Slab on grade, I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
You look at, I don't know, roof will be 25 years, maybe you get 30.
yeah, but that, like the roof on that, we're figuring metal, so that's probably a 50-year
50 year.
roof. Okay? No, but that's a good question.
Yeah, great.
So I won't be around for the renovation.
That's right, there we go. We all will be. Let the next generation. Great question, though. Keep them coming.
Yeah.
I recognize that we're past 8, so if you need to go, but my goal is to answer as many questions as we can, so.
Can I just offer one? So I'm not a construction not a construction expert, but I do work in the insurance industry, specifically in commercial property. What we're seeing around prefabricated construction is the quality of prefab construction has come an enormous way. And so they are building really high quality, very high-end buildings. What they're getting is they're getting the efficiencies in the assembly time, which is where you're getting cost savings. It's not necessarily in the materials. They're bringing stuff in, they're putting up some incredible buildings that are prefab now, that it's a long way from where it was in the early days of like Morton buildings and rickety houses. And so when I hear prefab construction, it to me is just, you're gaining efficiencies of building it off-site and then being able to assemble it on-site.
Did we get that on the recording there, Michael? Just as a good prefab promo there. Thanks, Chad.
Along the lines of promos, I know I've relaxed a little bit knowing that there's members of the church that have the expertise. You know, when I initially heard we had a building committee, I'm picturing a
Me, right?
Yeah, a bunch of people that don't necessarily know anything about construction, and we really want, this is what we want, we don't know how to get there, but I felt much better about knowing that the team includes professionals that are in the business, and that might prove to be a good selling point.
I'm sleeping a little bit better nights because of that.
We're not, but he is.
Yeah, right.
That's right, that's right. Other questions? I usually have a 10-second mental pause.
Can I ask one more?
Oh, I shouldn't have said, no, I'm just, go ahead, Chad. Go ahead, man.
So, and I'll ask this, and I'm going to qualify this one as well, and by starting by saying is that I'm personally very much in support of what we're doing. A really nitty-gritty logistical type thing, is there going to be a member vote required for any of this?
Yeah, great question. According to our bylaws, our church members vote on 3 things. They vote on bylaw changes.
Yep.
They vote annual budget and annual officers, elders, governing board, and then we vote on the annual budget.
Yeah.
So that is not a requirement according to our bylaws. Going back to one of your questions you would ask, I would certainly say that if we come back and the commitment is like at a number where it's like that the congregation is speaking to us, that we would be foolish not to hear that. I would say certainly as our church has been healthy, in an unhealthy church, this wouldn't always be true. But the members get to vote and be a part of who leads our church. And so the hope is that you may not always agree with everything within our church, but you trust our leadership to be able to make the best decisions we can and trust our hearts in that. And so that's what we would be asking for in this process there. So you said, were you about to say, oh, I thought I heard somebody say something. So, Did that?
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Quick question, don't know if it has a quick answer, but I was hoping, Luke, can you share why Medfield Westwood? Just what's the story?
Great question. So we're reaching two kinds of people. Generally, like when you think about an unchurched population, there would be kind of an ex-Catholic townie person who their parents probably quit going to church around 2001 with a spot article coming out. They don't trust church, but people want transcendence. They want meaning and purpose in life. And they're willing to give religion another chance. And then we're looking at reaching young professionals, so people who moved to the Boston area for a job. I mean, and I'm describing our church as well, just closer to Boston. And those kind of people have everything. You know, things have worked out well for them. And then they realize they have nothing. And when you look at what areas do not have a lot of evangelical churches in the area, 109, so I live in Millis, we have 0. Medfield has 1, Westwood has 0. To our north, Dover and Sherburne have 0. This is a population that needs to hear the gospel. Now, again, that doesn't mean there are no Christians there, and it doesn't mean we're going to plant there to draw from other churches. But there is certainly a huge gospel need. Yeah.
And that was a process too.
Yeah.
To get to that point. 6 to 9 months at least.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, I would say the only other one is, and this was one of the hardest things, is we want to be, like, this will be an independent church, and we will need to be independent, but what realistically, geography-wise, works for where people are, to where they can feel part of the community, you know? So that was the only other factor. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
So that's basically me.
Yeah.
And I'm new here, and I know your name is Steve. And I'm Bernard.
That's awesome. Welcome.
In the Catholic Church, you get attached to a pastor or a priest, and you blink and he's gone. So my question is, what are the chances that you're gonna, how frequently does this church change pastors?
Oh, he's not.
It's a great question. And believe it or not, that question was asked last time. So it's a great question. Quickly, and I'll end with this, and then we'll pray. If you still have questions, our leadership, if we can hang out, we want to be as transparent as possible. So if you didn't feel comfortable asking a question tonight, please leave here tonight. Before I answer that, please leave here tonight. Don't come away with questions, or if questions come up, and go and talk to other people. I would ask you just to ask us, because we want to be as transparent as possible throughout the whole process. And so our heart is to be able to help you understand it as best we can. And so if there's an outstanding question, just ask us, and we'll sit down with you. We'll take you to lunch or coffee or whatever, and we'll answer your question. So if you had a question tonight, you were sort of, let's talk. To answer your question, it's really a God thing. When Amy, Joe, and I felt released from our church in Chicago, which we thought we'd never, we started the church, it was 10 years, it was the healthiest it had been in the 10-year history, and God released us from that. We didn't know what that meant. When we got a little bit more clarity that meant that we had started this church, and God's hand was going to be on this church, and then what that looked like for us in the future and our calling. Both Amy, Joe, and I said we wanted to make sure that this next move, our heart was, that was it. And I'm not super old, but I'm getting closer and closer to retirement. And so this was an opportunity for us to say, we really see this as our final calling in full-time ministry as a pastor. Even to the point where it was like, okay, wherever, and this is before we even knew of Emmanuel, it's like, we're like, we're gonna need to find a place also that not only fits with the church, but that we could actually retire. A place that we would actually like, that we could retire. And so...
It wasn't Hawaii.
No. And so, first couple of interviews with Church of Emmanuel in the district, we had discovered that our church had, even though it's a 120-year history, over the last 17, 18 years had gone through a lot of pastoral transitions. And so Doug Beimler, some of you guys know him, he was the lead chairman of the elders at that time, and he said, our church needs someone who's going to be around for a while and need that consistency. And so really God lined up what we were looking for and what God was calling us to and what Church of Emmanuel needed. And I can tell you almost 4 years in, that has only been confirmed and affirmed that Amy Jo and I, we love Church of Emmanuel, and we believe that this is our calling and this is a place we're going to retire. We love New England. Midwesterners, we've fallen in love with New England, and absolutely 100%. I'm not going to guarantee you because that would be foolish of me, right? But our heart is the same as it's always been since we've moved here. Is this is the place where we want to retire, and I don't know what that year is, but that's our goal, that's our heart, and that has not changed. We love Emmanuel, and we feel called here, and that has not changed one bit. So I don't think, unless God's going to have to intervene for us to not be here. So
how old are you?
That's offensive to me. So I am currently 54.
You got 30 years, dude.
30 years. Let's put it this way. I think I could preach until I die, but that's not all I do as a pastor. So I don't know what that number is, but I will say this: I'm as passionate about what God's doing, and I love what I get to do, and so there's not a number that I have. I mean, obviously, I know at some point in the day that I realize that I'm not being effective or not called to do that. That would be where I would fade out. And honestly, this would probably be our church home. So even after that, probably wouldn't do it immediately, but we love Church of Emmanuel.
Well, you do a great job.
Well, let me pray for us, and then thank you guys for coming. Again, we'll hang out for a little bit if you want to ask some questions. Thank you guys for coming on a cruddy night outside. So, God, we thank you for tonight. God, I thank you for the Spirit, and I'm so excited. This is all you. This is all your glory. This is all your movement. And so, God, I pray that we continually follow you. And there are certainly question marks. And so we're just going to walk by faith with you, and we are confident that when we walk with you, you will do what you promised to do. And so may we just be faithful to that. God, continue to work in our hearts as we look at that big number. May you work in our individual lives to see what part we can play. Stretch us in that, challenge us in what that number looks like for each and every one of us. God, unify us as a church. May we stay focused on the gospel, the good news of Jesus and your Son. It's why we're here. We are not building any other kingdom other than your kingdom. And so we pray all of this in your Son Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you guys for coming. If you can help just clean up your table, that'd be great. If you want to take a snack home with you, more than likely. If you have any questions, we'll be around.
Yeah, she had another couple.